back, ladies and gentlemen, across our beloved Kyber Empire. Welcome to Arnold Holonet News, the only news you're ever gonna need because you have no other choice. And it's our first, I believe our first, right? Our first Arnold Holonet News of 2023, and we're being hit with the brand new character. First new character of 2023 is going to be Zorii Bliss. Now, for my folks who've been around in Galaxy Heroes World, do you remember when there was like an alleged leak that brought about that, hey, Zorii Bliss is apparently in the works? I don't know if there's going to be any connection to that leak from a couple years ago, but I suspect the character was maybe already made back then, at least artwork-wise. Maybe they updated the kit since then. But let's take a look at this here today, my friends. Basically, from what I gather from this kit reveal, if you're worried about Rey becoming more powerful, I wouldn't worry about it. It seems like they're kind of keeping her out of the lineup by adding a clause that there's an unaligned force using the lead, blah, 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 blah. So I think they're going to minimize the interaction of Rey. From what I gather, it's meant to make the leftover resistance a bit better. Finn, Rose, Omicron potentially, but I want to put this here. This is the video I'm talking about. Back in 2020 or 19, Zorii Bliss Y-Wing. Zorii Bliss is apparently going to pilot it, and so there was allegedly discussion of it. It never came to fruition, but sometimes developers talk about stuff and maybe they just decide not to put it part of the plans, and they add it several years later. So here we are then. Zorii Bliss, light side support, resistance, Scandroid, and Smuggler. I'm afraid to say this because I feel like you guys are never going to unsee it. Anytime I see Zorii Bliss, I think of a Power Ranger. That's just me. So, stealth empowers her abilities with additional effects. Improved damage and bonuses with her squad when you trigger exposes. Can bolster resistance tanks, so most likely Finn and Poe. Can bolster with max health and protection recovery. Let's just get into it here. So stealth is going to be the main factor associated with this, with making Zori's abilities capital-less. Scary. Getting exposed to your enemy will spice up your life. This is the summary we've all needed. Big fan of tanks, loves to help them. They can't resist. Really doesn't like when resistance allies are sporting debuffs, but also kind of like debuffs. Smugglers will enjoy their posh bonuses. I'm going to just skip down to this part right here before we get to the kit reveal. Strategy tips: you're going to want to keep her itself. Her unique second Zeta provides an opportunity to retaliate after a big hit. Time her special 2 carefully. Can ramp up to be a big hit, but can also apply certain desirable effects for the situation. Zorii Bliss is going to be a marquee event available later on this week on the Thursday. So if you want to see all the testing and fun, feel free to come on down. It was a lot of fun doing the site yesterday. We're going to have 2 things in 1 week. Always great. And then why not unaligned force users? While Zorii does think Rey's okay, there were balance concerns with including Rey in parts of her kit, especially since our intention is for Zorii to let the resistance characters that are not included in the already strong Rey squads. And I think this is a good market. I'm just gonna say it. These one-banger characters have done the job for the most part. Talon is the only weak one, but she's now more appreciated with Malgus and now Treya Omicron. But otherwise, day one, I'm always a fan of them. Sana Staros, Kyle Katarn, Dashvandar, Mara Jade, Iden Versio, Shorty. So I have a suspicion we're starting off the year very strong with a great ship, and I'm hoping a very solid character. So getting into the abilities, basics, twin EA51 blasters. Deal physical damage to target enemy twice. And if Zorii is stealth, this attack can be evaded and dispel all buffs on target enemy. For each buff dispelled this way, resistance allies recover 10% health. I have to go back to the Raven. We've already seen Zorii Bliss in game. Even though we weren't needed, she wasn't required. They already have her in game as the Rey event, I believe, or Kylo, one of the two. I believe there was some stealth in her kit. I can't quite remember. It's probably vastly different than what the event is all about. Moving on over. Special one, Captain's Medallion. Dispel all debuffs on resistance allies. Cleanse ability. That's solid. That's great stuff. For each debuff dispelled, resistance allies gain 5% turn meter. So turn meter, even when they're, because the whole point, this is gonna, okay, let's just get this straight. It's gonna help out Finn lead. Finn lead, Zeta, exposed train. Go back to 2017, one of the best Zetas back then. Fell out of favor a little bit. It is helpful though, the Omicron that is, for the territory battles. Hey, now this might be, we talked about how I don't really want to gear up bad characters for territory battle Omicrons. Well, now you might want to gear up Finn a bit more because he's probably better in PvP now. And then as a result, maybe I get the Omicron on. See, this is it's kind of interesting. I'm not crazy when I give my opinion. on some stuff, just un poco loco, just a little bit. For each debuff dispelled, resistance allies gain 5% Terminator. So when you're getting hitting exposed, you're getting Terminator just by cleansing, getting Terminator. So imagine, let's say Vader applies a ton of Force Crush debuffs. Boom, cleanse that, probably like close to 100% Terminator. Non-unaligned Force user. Oh, God. We're at this part of the game where we need to have condition upon condition upon condition upon condition. How many? Let's see. That's 1, 2. That's like 3 conditions on each other. Non-unaligned Force user resistance tank. Woo. Taunt for 1 turn and gain protection of 50% for 2 turns. Zorii gains stealth for 2 turns, and then you get to call all resistance allies. All right, guys. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna like this team a lot. I feel it. I'm feeling it in my bones. I've loved Finn Zeta. I'm excited for it. A mass assist. Imagine getting everyone to assist, and especially Resistance Trooper who has the expose on the basic. And if you hit those exposes, we're talking big money here. So hopefully some good turns. You have Terminator just from the cleanse, got the taunt, so Poe and Finn actually taunt, because otherwise they're just sitting there. Because really they're tanks, but we really only use Poe and Finn because they had exposed on them to keep the train going. But yeah, mass assist for Resistance allies. Dang, I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this. Special 2. I've done worse for a lot less. Cooldown 4. Was the cooldown the other one? Definitely some decent high cooldowns, but remember, we might need to do a little Finn reminder. Finn's got ways to reduce those juicy cooldowns, my friends. Well, let's keep moving. Deal physical damage to target enemy. This stack deals 30% more damage for each exposed triggered, stacking to a maximum of 300%. I mean, I just want to know what the damage is looking like. If she's stealth, inflict healing immunity on target enemy for 2 turns. If target enemy is exposed, stun them for 1 turn. If this ability defeats an enemy, expose all enemies for 1 turn, which can't be existed. A lot of exposed. The healing immunity is kind of a random thing to throw in there. I mean, healing immunity is always nice. Man, I don't want to say anything yet, but don't you get like this, like Finn? If you remember, Finn was kind of broken back in the day. They had to do some changes with him. You know, I don't want to say we're gonna beat Galactic Legends at this, but if you could run a turn meter train, it sounds kind of nice. I don't know. We'll wait and see. I'm not gonna get that crazy with my predictions though. And here's where we got a lot of reading to do here. Unique ability 1, Zeta and Omicron. And it's a Grand Arena Omicron. You know me, I'm a fan of Grand Arena Omicrons. Usually, you know, half the time I apply these Grand, probably even more than that. I apply these Grand Arena Omicrons fairly quickly if they look really good. Height Inversio, yada, yada, yada. If the ally leader slot is a non-unaligned force user resistance, so basically no Ray is what they're asking for. Resistance allies have 100% potency while they have more allies than enemies, and have plus 35 speed while they have equal or fewer allies than enemies. So basically what I'm gathering from this is at the very beginning of the battle, you're likely going to have equal allies and enemies. So 5-5, 3-3, you're getting 35 speed. 35 speed on a unique ability is huge. So think of now Finn Lee's got 35 speed in him, 100% potency while they have more allies than enemies. So as you're kind of getting that momentum, I'm assuming you're going to start getting that potency. So basically, so 35 speed while they have equal or fewer allies. So I see. Once you start killing off enemies, you lose the speed buff, is what I'm gathering from this. So yeah, so it's a temporary speed buff, not permanent, like a leadership. Once you start getting momentum, then yeah, you're just gonna get the 100% potency. Whenever Zorii uses an ability while stealth, the ally on the leader side and Poe, man, I wonder what that leader is gonna be. I don't know. Does Stick Ray have a leader ability? So basically Finn and Poe are gaining retribution for 1 turn. If Poe is taunting, gets critical hit immunity, that's important. Poe's kind of the main engine for this. Man, if you haven't played the game back in the day, 2015, 2016, Poe was nasty. When there was no mods, there was always a coin toss. Whose Poe went first? And whoever's Poe went first usually won the match. Whenever a resistance ally has less than 100% turn meter and gain bonus turn meter, they gain 30% offense. Oh man, that's great. They're gonna get and it's stacking. For 1 turn. It's only for 1 turn though. That's a lot of offense, so they're gonna get a lot of turn meter. Whenever a non-unaligned force user resistance ally removes turn meter from enemy, they inflict speed down. So Poe generally has the turn meter removal on him, so that's pretty solid. Whenever resistance ally without tenacity up gains tenacity up, all other resistance allies without tenacity up, they're gaining to the tenacity up as well. And then I have to double check. Ooh, tenacity up. Was that where, boy, maybe I may have forgotten something, but does Rose have the tenacity? But you have to go back and check. While resistance allies have tenacity up, whenever they deal damage to an enemy, they have 35% chance to inflict expose for 1 turn. Whenever a non-unaligned force user resistance tank taunts, they gain 50% max health stacking for the rest of the encounter, not just for 1 turn. And whenever a taunt expires them, boom, 15% protection recovery. And that Grandrin Omicron sneaking its way in here. While in Grandrin is if there are no Galactic Legend allies, Ray, and all allies are resistant, so you can't do like Hondo or Watambor or whatever. If the ally in the leader slot is a non-unaligned force user resistance, whenever Zorii is stealth at the start of the turn, all enemies with expose are inflicted with expose, or without expose are inflicted with expose for 1 turn. Man, which can't be evaded or resisted. That's the key word right there. Keyword, no resistance. That's great. So that's all right. It doesn't seem like it seems like an Iden level Omicron. Iden doesn't really need the Omicron to be solid. She's solid without it. But the Omicron definitely is helpful. It's very helpful. Just constantly make sure there's exposes, because as you're feeding off exposes, turn meter, cooldown reductions, we'll remind you on the Fin Zeta if it's been a moment for you. And then Spice Runner. Skills, Zeta ability, 1 Omicron on this team, double Zeta on this character here. Zorii gains stealth for 2 turns at the start of each encounter, so great, we're under stealth. Smuggler allies have plus 35% accuracy and health steal. Whenever an ally triggers an expose, and also, by the way, Smuggler, so it's calling it resistance, not resistance, Smuggler, Veteran Smuggler Han, Veteran Smuggler Chewie, they're going to get extra accuracy and health steal. Whenever an ally triggers an expose, all allies recover 5% protection. Great. The first time each resistance or smuggler ally falls below 100% health, they gain 100% turn meter. Great. If that ally was a non-tank, also gain protection up 100% and stealth for 2 turns. Great. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. If the ally tank gains damage immunity and taunt, if that ally was a tank, gain damage immunity and taunt for 1 turn. Damage immunity. So if we're getting a little bit of that raid damage immunity, although keep in mind, it is dispellable. I suspect there's nothing that says can't be dispelled. If this damage immunity or stealth is dispelled, right there, it can't be dispelled. That ally recovers 100% protection. Ooh. Dang. Whenever Zorii uses an ability while stealth, Smuggler allies, so Smuggler Han, Smuggler Chewie, they gain buffs based on the following rules. We'll double check. There might be another Smuggler in resistance that I'm missing out on right now. Attackers gonna need critical damage up. Healers and sports, speed up for 2 turns. Tanks, critical hit immunity for 2 turns. So say what you will about the other things going on in Galaxy or Datacrons, yada, yada, yada. The characters still get me excited for the most part. I'm really excited to test this out. I'm a big fan of Resistance Finn. Let's go take a look. Just a reminder in case, it's been a while, right? So Resistance Finn lead. With this lead on balanced tactics, which I do not have the Omicron, Resistance allies have the 6% potency. Actually, ignore the Omicron for a moment. All right, the most important thing is with the Zeta, if an enemy is damaged by a Resistance ally, for each exposing them, that enemy loses 5% turn for each Resistance ally. All Resistance allies gain 3% turn for each Resistance ally, and their cooldowns are reduced by 1. So we noticed there was a lot of higher cooldowns of 4. They're going to get reduced fairly quickly, and likely Zorii is going to kind of have a train of constant cooldown reductions. One thing to note, though, this lead, it was a lot more powerful. Way back in the day, they had the balance, and they had to rework it. It was destroying everything back in it. It was a massive turn meter loop problem that they had in their hands. So this is why all the exposures are great. A lot of turn meter opportunities, damage increase opportunities here. We have the Smuggler tag, which I think primarily is going to be benefiting Han and Chewie. I don't think any of these other guys are, none of these other folks are smugglers. So they called out a weird one here. Hold on, let me go back. They called out an attacker smuggler, healer support smuggler, tank smugglers, and the whole team primarily, the team is going to be primarily all resistance, right? We don't have a lot of other smugglers. The 2 that we have are smuggler resistance. I might be missing an angle. Maybe there's going to be more stuff later on this year. But yeah, so far we just have 2 attacker smugglers that have that resistance tag on them. So we'll have to wait and see. And then Rose Tico, that Omicron is the Grand Arena Omicron. No one really applies it except if it's like they lost a bet. But here we have other allies are getting 10% offense for each exposed enemy, and they gain 5% to it whenever a resistance ally scores a critical hit. We might see some Rose Tico Omicron action, y'all. Get ready for it. That actually seems a little bit more important than maybe the Zorii Bliss Omicron. So time will tell. Very excited for this Thursday this week on the, what is that? They said the 12th. Yeah, the 12th of this year, 2023. Our first brand new character announced and released and tested to be conducted very shortly. Very busy week in the Empire. It's great having you. Be around here, y'all. Make sure you leave that like, comment down below on all your thoughts and your hopes and dreams for Zorii Bliss. And more importantly, until we meet again, always remember that it's great to be in the Empire today.